It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend, just me, my grandfather, and some quiet time in his cozy retirement home. But when I pulled into Serenity Springs Estates and saw an eviction notice on the door, I knew something was wrong. What started as a simple visit turned into a legal showdown with an HOA president who thought she could bully a deaf veteran. She picked the wrong grandson to mess with. Alex Peterson had planned a quiet weekend. After a grueling week on Capitol Hill, all he wanted was fresh coffee, a couple of hours of model, trains, and stories from Grandpa Arthur, the only man alive who could out-stubborn a senator. But when Alex pulled into Serenity Springs Estates, that plan unraveled in less than 60 seconds. A yellow eviction notice flapped in the wind on the garage door. And Maria, the contractor he had hired to install visual fire alarms, was standing in the driveway holding a folder with trembling hands. "What the hell is this?" Alex asked, his voice low but tight. Maria didn't answer at first. She just handed him the notice. "She says it's official. From the HOA. She was Karen Miller, HOA president, neighborhood tyrant, and if local gossip was to be believed, a retired dental hygienist with an affinity for bylaws written in Comic Sans." Alex read the document twice. Violations included unauthorized alarm systems, unsafe lighting, and absurdly, a model train set deemed a fire hazard. It was almost laughable if not for the threat of fines and forced removal. Maria pointed to the strobe light units in her van. "She told me I could be held liable if I keep working." Alex felt a pressure in his chest. His grandfather Arthur was deaf, a fact not from birth, but earned in service as a military signalman during a roadside blast in Kandahar. These visual alarms were not decorative. They were life-saving. Arthur appeared in the doorway just then, smiling unaware. Alex signed to him, "Everything's okay. We're just sorting out paperwork." Arthur nodded, trusting as ever. Alex had seen bad power plays in Washington. But this was petty authoritarianism with a badge and a clipboard, and he had no intention of letting it stand. Just as he stepped into the house, the sound of heels clicking on concrete snapped his attention back. Karen was already marching up the driveway, short, straight posture, clipboard, designer sunglasses. Her aura screamed, "I make waiters cry." "I assume you're Alex Peterson," she said, not offering a hand. "That's right. And you must be the one who confused community service with community control." Karen's lips tightened. "Your grandfather is in violation of several HOA codes. The flashing lights disrupt visual uniformity and may cause disorientation in others. Not to mention the obstruction created by his train setup." Obstruction of what joy? His hobby room has no clear path to an exit. That's a safety hazard. For whom? Anna Karen ignored him. "If the installations aren't removed by Monday, we'll be forced to escalate." "To who?" "The fire marshal, ADA compliance officers, because I already called them." That got her attention. Alex knew better than to scream. The quiet ones win. He spent the rest of the afternoon reviewing federal fire codes, ADA statutes, and the HOA's own bylaws. Karen's case was built on half-truths and imaginary threats. At 9:00 a.m. sharp the next morning, a white SUV pulled into the driveway. The fire marshal, Lieutenant Elena Rivas, stepped out with a clipboard of her own real authority, no nonsense. Karen arrived 2 minutes later, armed with binders and passive-aggressive charm. They walked through the house. Rivas reviewed everything: the hallway, width, strobe placement, smoke detector specs, even the train room. She nodded as Alex showed her the full plan and the ADA guidelines he referenced. He had printed everything, labeled, cross-referenced. When it was Karen's turn to present, she stumbled through vague statements. The light patterns could confuse emergency responders, she claimed. Rivas raised an eyebrow. "They're NFPA certified, installed by a licensed contractor." Karen tried to pivot. "The trains don't block any exits," Rivas interrupted. "You're citing imaginary codes." Karen's face began to flush, but she wasn't done. "Well, this system affects property values. It's disruptive to community harmony." And there it was, the real reason. Not safety, not policy. Fear of what didn't match. Fear of change, fear of accommodation. Rivas stared at her. You understand that under federal law, Mr. Peterson's modifications are not only allowed, but protected. Karen tried to backpedal. I'm not against accessibility, but you used your position to harass a veteran with a disability. Silence. Rivas handed Alex a written statement. Full compliance. No violations. HOA ordered to cease interference. Karen's power deflated in front of them. She turned to Alex with a glare that would have withered anyone else. But Alex didn't flinch. You tried to scare the wrong man. Karen walked away without another word. Later that night, Alex and Arthur sat by the window, watching the dusk settle in. No alarms blaring, just peace. Arthur signed, "She won't be back." Alex signed back, "Not unless she wants to get written up for being a fire hazard herself." Arthur laughed soundlessly, shoulders shaking. A week later, Alex received an email. Subject update. Karen's been removed from her position. Apparently, there were more complaints. Mine wasn't the first. You were just the first one who knew the law. Thank you, Alex. Not just for me. For everyone here who's been afraid to push back. Alex leaned back, closed his laptop, and smiled. That weekend, he drove back to D.C. not feeling tired, but fulfilled. It wasn't just about his grandfather. It was about what the rules were meant for, not control, but protection. Not exclusion, but access. Sometimes power hides behind fake policies and loud voices. And sometimes justice is quiet. Paper thin. Measured in quiet victories and the flicker of a strobe light telling someone they're safe. Alex had written plenty of laws. But that weekend reminded him why laws mattered, and why knowing them wasn't just smart, it was powerful.